All right, what I've got here is an air tank that I made out of a water heater. And just to let you know right off the bat, I've heard that it's not a good idea to make air tanks out of water heaters. Even though water heaters, I believe, are rated up to 300 psi. I just run this one up to 100. It's done okay for a few years, although I haven't really used it that much. I used to use them a lot more, but I made this one because I had a huge compressor that broke, and I didn't want to run out and buy one because at that time I knew I was not going to be needing it as much. But when you do need to run power tools, the little ones just won't do it. But I did have two smaller compressors. So what I did was I took the neighbor had remodeled a house and had a used water heater that was only a year or two old, and so I gave him $10 for it. It had been laying out in the yard. He just threw it out, as they were remodeling. And so what I did is, you can see I stripped off the outer casing, took off the foam. It's covered in foam insulation. This is actually the bottom. I flipped it over, and I'll show you why. But first, let me go through right here. What I did was, let me just start with the cart. I got a cheap, I had a couple of cheap, like Harbor Freight carts or something, so I went ahead and just set it on one and brazed it. And I ran a bar right across there, to hold the tank. If you have one, a dolly or whatever, it may already have a bar there to use. And then I tacked it back here, and then underneath I tacked, kind of brazed it. If you don't have any way to weld or braze, I'm sure there's a way that you can figure out to attach it, with straps or something, just so it doesn't fall over, or you can just set it on the ground. These were this is an electric water heater, which is the easiest to use because it has all the fittings and everything. These were the old elements, where the old elements were, and I just broke off the ends. Leave them screwed in. I tried undoing one of them, just to see if they were any good, if I could save them or not, because I do have other electric water heaters, but these things would not come off. And I even used a pipe wrench, so I just leave it in there. It's no big deal. What I did here is, now this is actually the bottom of the water tank, and at the bottom of a water tank you'll have the drain. What I did is I just converted the drain into the inlet. So all these fittings you can find at Home Depot, Tractor Supply, and what you can do is you can go back and forth as you're trying to match this stuff up. If you need to, you can go from plumbing to air fittings. You can actually use plumbing fittings, mix some plumbing, water plumbing type fittings will fit gas, natural gas fittings, and also air, like air compressor fittings. So, but I had all these like just laying around because I have a big collection of junk, stuff like that. So I just kind of matched up whatever I had. But so you may be able to do a little bit easier job, neater job. But by mixing, you can go into Home Depot and buy, you can go from plumbing possibly to natural gas to air, whatever parts and pieces that you can mix together to get the right fittings. You don't have to really weld anything, but you can mix some plumbing, some water, fixture, plumbing parts, air, and for like compressor air compressors, and natural gas, and that'll get you one way or another. It will get you all the parts together. You can see here I used a 4-way. Since I have two compressors, I have two inlets, one for each compressor. I have the gauge that I had an old Harbor Freight, not sure where I got it, but a Harbor Freight a pressure regulator. And off the old compressor was a Sears dryer. It takes the water out of some of the water out of the air that's being pumped out. And this is the outlet. This goes to the hose. The hose will go in here, for this will go to the power tools that you use. And what I've got here is I made these so that when, it's just simple tubing and some, ends for a plug-ins for a compressor, the male end. And what I do is I just put those in there and then take the hose from the compressor, plug it in there, and that goes all together. Now if the tank has pressure in it, I can plug the compressor in here and then pop it in there. If both the compressor and this tank has pressure and I want to connect them, then before I sit this in there, because I just put that in there, the air is going to shoot out here. So what I do is I would turn the air pressure, the gate, or the let's see, what am I thinking? The valve off for the air compressor, and that way no air would come out of here. And I guess I could do the same thing on the compressor on the the tank on the compressor, and then fit these in. But anyway, that's how I got this to work together. Let me show you the bottom. Now, if you notice, this is kind of, this goes in. This is curved, because this was actually supposed to be the bottom of the water heater. Let me set my phone down, and I'll flip the water heater over just to show you. Hang on one second. And I will see if I can get my phone to sit up there. All right. This thing's kind of heavy, so it takes 2 hands. Okay. All right. Now you can see a little better on the bottom. This was actually the top of the water heater. And what you can see here is that was the cat messing around up here. All right, that was the anode, the sacrificial rod. So you can just leave that in there. And this is was one of either the inlet or the cold water inlet or the hot water exit. But either one, doesn't matter which, just go ahead and plug those. And then where the water heater itself will have a pressure relief valve. And I just went ahead and put the bleeder valve here, because this, if you notice, this kind of angles down. So all the water, droplets and everything will run toward the center. And I tried to make sure that this didn't stick up, so this will literally funnel right into here, and then you turn that on, and it'll drain. It'll drain the water. I'm being attacked by a cat, so the video is going to be I'm a little distracted. The video is going to move a little bit. But anyway, you can see that this was the top of the tank. Now, if you want to flip it over, you can actually put these on top and just use these as your air inlet, air exit, that kind of stuff, and, your pressure gauge and whatever. But because I was going to put this on a cart, and I wanted the water droplets to flow into here, I tipped it up. And this way I've got it on a cart, and I can roll it around. And there's the shop cat, whose job it is to keep the mice and rats and squirrels and whatever else tries to get in. But anyway, that's it. It's pretty easy, and it was it doesn't really take that long to do. I wouldn't use an old air tank. But what I've heard is obviously these are probably going to be, they're probably thicker than the cheap compressor tanks that are coming from China and stuff. But you don't want one of these to blow out, and if it's weakened by being rusted, you don't want to use it. But you may be able to find a remodeler or a contractor or something who's doing a remodel, or a plumber who's pulling one out or has one that is maybe a year or 2 old. And again, you can see right there, that's the bottom. And then I just took whatever paint that I had and just sprayed it on the outside to keep it from rusting. But that's it. But it's pretty easy, and it works really well. I can roll it around, I can fill it up, roll it around, and with my 2 little compressors, like I said, I can run big tools and not have to wait on it and everything, so that makes it kind of nice. And little compressors easier to replace, I guess, than going out, for $100 you can go get a little contractor's compressor. A couple of those for a couple $100 will go to a pawn shop. And if one of them breaks, you just go out and get another one. They seem to be lasting me, if you're using it intermittently, then it works good. It's a good idea. If you're using air tools and stuff all the time, then obviously you should go out and buy a large, good compressor. But all right, I hope this gives somebody an idea.